Well, we are glad to have you here. And we have a lot that we want to share with you today. We've got some exciting updates about how our work is progressing. We're going to share our expanded impact strategy and some key features of our upcoming work based on our FY24 priorities. In just a day or two, we roll into our next fiscal year. So we're really thinking ahead about what we've got coming up. Our goal is going to be to keep this brief and allow ample time for questions from all of you. I will suggest that as you have questions, feel free to add them to the chat box. We might not get to them immediately, but Jenny and I will be watching it, and we will ensure that we at least get to them by the end. I also want to thank Jenny and Brooke for joining me in sharing with all of you today. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So what is 2Gen? Some of you have heard us talk about this for a while now, but what I've really been thinking about lately is the fact that kids do not grow up in isolation. And it's something we all know, right? Whether we're parents or, we think about being children and being raised with grandparents, siblings. We know this, and it makes common sense. Like it's something we know. And we have a lot of data that supports this. The single most important indicator of a child's future success is their parents' income. And we know that parents' well-being is most directly influenced by their children's well-being. Yet we also see that systems and programs are often not designed with this holistic nature of a family and the interconnectedness in mind. We see that programs and systems are really designed for a single person, a client, without enough consideration for the well-being of the other members of a family. And 2Gen recognizes this interdependent relationship between children and parents. And I do want to say that we use the terms family and parents very broadly. We know that families come in all shapes and sizes and styles, and parenting can be single parents and grandparents raising grandchildren and foster parents. So please know when we use those terms, we use a very broad sense of them. And 2Gen really recognizes that we need to look at every member of a family and ensure that they have the support and resources they need so that they can thrive. So this is one way for us to think about 2Gen. It can come in a lot of different ways. There's not a singular way to do it. It can be child-focused with parent and caregiver elements. It can be adult-focused with child elements, or it can be full family-centered. And there's not a right or wrong way to do this, but it gives you kind of just an illustration of ways you can think about 2Gen. And the important thing, again, is that you are considering every member of a family unit. So our friends at Ascend at the Aspen Institute have been studying 2Gen for quite some time now, and the research is really clear. There are 6 key components that families need to thrive, and you can see them here. They're the cogs on the right side of the screen. They include early childhood education, K through 12, post-secondary and employment pathways, health, which does include mental health, economic assets, and then the secret sauce of 2Gen, which is social capital. Now, this is a screen or an illustration that you might not have seen before, but it's one that is equally important to the components. And so the components on the last screen are kind of the what you do in a 2Gen approach. This is the how you do it. And the principles are really important in every aspect of our program design here at SVP. And so they are to account for outcomes for both children and adults, to listen to the voices and recommendations of families, to ensure racial, gender, and economic equity, to foster evidence and innovation together, and to align and link systems and funding streams. So as we move forward in this presentation and you hear more details from Jenny and Brooke, I encourage you to think about how these principles are evident in our approach. Okay, so we showed you something like this for those of you who were at our annual partner meeting in April. It was kind of the first time we had shown an illustration of this. But I want to take us back. So like back in the day, SVP did one thing, and it was capacity building. And the goal of our capacity building is to strengthen and scale organizations so they can serve more people and serve them better. And today it remains one of the primary activities that we do. And within capacity building, there are so many things that we do, but it can be business planning and board governance and fund development and human resources and marketing. And I'm proud to say we do this incredibly well. Nonprofits that we work with see an average of a 300% growth in the number of clients served. And we are now doing this work with not 3 and not 5, but 8 nonprofit organizations. Then in 2018, we added a coaching program, which is now an integral part of our capacity building work. And this is where we really focus on the people who work within nonprofits, because as we're changing the systems and structures and processes of organizations, we need to ensure that the people who are working there, who are implementing these programs and these processes, have the opportunity to grow as well. And so our coaching program has become one of the most beloved aspects of an SVP engagement, both from our partners and from our nonprofits. And then in 2020, we started our collaboration. This is the 2Gen collaboration, where we brought organizations together to look at how they can work better together for families. So within the collaboration, there's a number of components to the work, and you'll hear more about it, but it's ensuring that there are referrals that are made between organizations and made in ways that work for families. It's about building shared programming. It's about ensuring that family voice is centered and informing everything we do. And so we've got this aspect of collaboration that's become a new and big and really important part of our work. And now here in 2023, we have started working on local policy. We always speculated that this would be a place we would get into. How can we think about the system of care for families without considering policy as a component of it? To be honest with you, we thought we were going to tackle this in 2024 or 2025, but luckily, policymakers came knocking on our doors and said, what is 2Gen and what can it offer for our communities? And so we have started to work with local, regional government officials on drafting policies that will better serve families, and you'll get to hear more about that. So our belief is that when these 4 things come together, we can influence the entire system of care for families and ensure that they have access to the opportunities and the resources that everyone deserves. So to kind of kick us off to the next section, I do want to give an opportunity to hear from all of you who are joining us. And I want for you to think about, with this brief overview, with what you've kind of know about 2Gen or heard from us in the past, what is something that you value about a 2Gen approach? And so I'll ask that you just take yourself off mute or raise your hand and we'll call on you and share. And the question is, we'll pop it in the chat bar here. What is something that you value about a 2Gen approach? Sandra.
Hi, I really appreciate the collaboration aspect of 2Gen and think about that a lot, especially as Fast Pitch 2024 is in the works. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Sandra. I will tell you all, it's hard to see if you're raising a hand. So if I don't call on you, just go ahead, take yourself off mute and chime in here. It looks like Liz is off mute.
I am off mute. I love the fact that this is a systemic approach, because so many other piecemeal approaches have been tried, and which is not to say they weren't valiant, which is not to say that they perhaps weren't effective in their narrow scope. But the fact that we are looking at this holistically, to me, is so exciting and is so meaningful and will be so meaningful to so many. It just gets my goosebump energy going. I'm excited.
I love that. We're starting our Thursday with goosebump energy. Who else? What is something
This
you
is
value
Beth.
about a 2Gen approach?
This is Beth. I'm really happy to be joining you and new at all of this for SVP, but just thrilled at the work. I think for me, 2Gen addresses some of the historicized and systemic inequities that are embedded in family units and expressed in family units. And you can't fix a piece and address a piece of an issue without addressing a whole. So somebody else said systemic, but I also think it's, historicized racism, for example, and poverty and all those more system level things that affect more than the individual. So I really, really appreciate that.
Thank you, Beth. Yeah, I think a lot about how we've gotten so used to thinking about like single intervention strategies, but it's the entire system that we need to, influence, fix, break down. You can look at it in a lot of ways, but we've got to think about it from the system. I think we have Peggy's hand up.
I love the social capital aspect of it because I think people are so isolated, and it's going to be small things that lead to bigger things that bring them into the village. So I'm looking forward to working with all the introverts out there.
Oh, I so love that. There's no one better to work with the introverts and the extroverts than you, because you just bring such love and care to it, Peggy. I believe it's Julie. Did I get that correct?
Yeah, thank you. I also appreciate the focus on the various relationships between people, relationships between different age groups. The idea that the family is a creative process, and looking at that, the holistic approach. But because I work for an organization that helps people understand their relationship with the watersheds, I work for Watershed Management Group and how we work with the environment. I'd also like to see, how environmental justice and environmental health plays in all of this, because I haven't seen that mentioned yet in the content about your work. So yeah.
No, thank you for that. And it's absolutely true that the environment impacts, every single thing, including the issues that we care so deeply about. So I'm going to go ahead and pass off to Jenny, and I will encourage, if you didn't get a chance to share, please put it in the chat bar, and we're going to continue to move on the presentation.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sierra. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. It's wonderful to have this time together. I'm so excited to share with you the work that's happening within our 2Gen collaboration. I'm going to dive right in and just share some exciting programmatic updates and information about the work that we're doing. So as Sierra shared with you, we began our 2Gen collaboration in 2020. And when we began our work, we were working within the framework of, providing families with the resources in these defined components, because these defined components have really proven to help families with their sustainability and increased opportunity, and to ultimately reach the goals of their dreams. So when we began our 2Gen collaboration, we were working with 3 agencies providing programming and resources in the areas that you see, specifically in early childhood education, post-secondary and employment pathways, and economic assets. Then in 2022, we grew our collaboration to include K through 12 supports for boys and girls. Boys to Men does some mental health support for young men. So we had that whole, our spectrum of service grew. And in April of this year, we welcomed 3 new agencies to our collaboration, strategically adding programs and resources to support whole family wellness within the 2Gen framework. We have ample opportunities with each of these agencies to support their internal and collaborative capacities, as Sierra mentioned. In fact, our 3 newest agencies, which are the YWCA, Tucson Jewish Free Loan, and Parent Aid, we're currently finalizing their individual organizational assessments, and we're going to be building advisory teams. This is where SVP partners become the secret sauce of the work that we do. So you, our partners, will have ample opportunity to make powerful impacts inside of each of these agencies. So if there's a particular agency that you're interested in, or a particular style of project, we would love to hear from you. Feel free to drop it in the chat, and we'll make sure that we as a programs team reach back out to you and are able to connect you to the right project for the right organization. So our big, bold, collaborative vision around our 2Gen collaboration is that any family member connecting to any of the nonprofits in our collaborative opens the doors to their whole family getting support within the collaborative network with low barriers and warm referrals across organizations. Now, this is unique within the 2Gen model and the 2Gen framework. Most often you see 2Gen approaches focused on transforming programs inside organization or inside individual organizations or inside a statewide county, city health and human services department to be more family focused. So that could look like, braiding early childhood education funding with workforce development programs, for instance. But here at SVP, we're working on big systems change of breaking down our nonprofit sector's siloed service delivery and looking at the exponential possibilities for families to access tools, programs, and resources that they need to live out their dreams. So far, we've had nearly 60 families referred across our agencies in our pilot referral process. We are currently in the process of transitioning to a statewide closed loop referral system that recently launched in Southern Arizona, been in Maricopa County for a little over a year now. This is a platform called Community Cares that Brooke and I have been researching and working with the operations team within our collaborative to decide, was this transition the right transition for us to make? And we as a whole team, it was a collaborative decision, decided to make this shift to the Community Cares platform. And perhaps the most important reason for that is the design. It is beautifully designed. It is doing exactly what we had set out to do. It's user-friendly for staff. It's also user-friendly for families. It's designed for medical care and for access is one of the big components of the platform. So there are very security around referrals and information. And it's going to allow us to easily see trends in our area and throughout the state. And it was designed to be used to better direct funding and resources and to better understand geographic and demographic challenges to accessing resources. So the official name of the platform is Community Cares. It's powered by Unite Us, and we are thrilled to be making the transition over to this platform. All of our agencies are required to be onboarded to the Community Cares platform in August. Another really exciting part of our 2Gen collaboration is a brand new resource that SVP is bringing to our 2Gen organizations. And this is one that has the potential to spur new ideas, innovations, and family-centered programming. It's called our 2Gen Innovation Fund. And this pool of funding is available to our 2Gen agencies who want to conceive of or pilot a shared program or resource that aligns with the 2Gen approach. So this is also a really exciting opportunity for partner engagement, because as we begin to develop these, as these agencies begin to start thinking about and developing these different shared ideas, we would love to have SVP partners support and facilitate those conversations and really help drive which of these innovative ideas we move forward. So we're going to be creating a simple application and process for our 2Gen agencies to access this new opportunity. As Sierra mentioned when she was talking about the principles of the 2Gen approach, something that is absolutely critical within the framework is not just listening to and learning from those with lived experience. It's giving them a seat at the table with decision makers around program and policy design, as well as implementation. So this year, we are committed to developing a family voice council of leaders with lived experience who will help inform and lead design improvements for our 2Gen collaboration, as well as support the forward momentum of the Regional Prosperity Initiative led by Pima County. That's the policy work that we've been doing that Brooke's going to share with you in just a bit. So the model we plan to use is one where we thoughtfully determine specific geographic areas and communities that we will be working with. We'll recruit leaders from those communities and support their leadership development, help them going back into their communities and facilitating conversations for additional information and insight. So it's a bit of a train the trainer model, and we'll treat these community leaders these community leaders are experts in their field. They'll be receiving compensation. We'll offer childcare, transportation, support, and coaching. So councils of this type have led to exponential change, not only in policy and program design, but also in the hearts and minds of individuals around the realities of living in poverty and the barriers that exist to sustainability and opportunity. Also, in our FY24 plans is a commitment from each of our 8 2Gen collaboration agencies to develop internal 2Gen action plans. So once we've had some time with our transition to the Community Cares Referral Platform and begin to see programming pop up, be created from our 2Gen Innovation Fund, we'll be supporting each agency with an internal 2Gen action plan. And each plan will be unique to the organization, their size, their needs. This is another great partner engagement opportunity as we see SVP partners leading these conversations, developing these plans in collaboration with agency leaders. And this has the potential to have exponential internal impact within each agency, but then of course, all with the collective and the collaborative in mind. Also, we are continuing our Families Coming Together events. And thanks to Bree and her work in developing strategic partnerships, we have a main sponsor for these events, Geico. They'll have teams out at each of these events supporting the events. And this event series, this Families Coming Together series, leads back to what you are really inspired by, Peggy, which is social capital. These events are intended to bring families together, to create relationships. They're a series of events. We create a fun and festive atmosphere and also are assured to provide families with resources. So if you are a partner that loves hands-on opportunities, if you love to be at events that feel inspiring and warm and wonderful, we're part of the team that makes the environment warm and wonderful. We are having our next event on August 1st. It's going to be from 5 to 7 at the YWCA. We'll be providing backpacks and school supplies to families. We'll have music, we'll have kids activities, and we'll just have a wonderful time coming together with these families and providing them with an opportunity to sit down, have a nice, yummy meal, and get the tools that they need for their kids to really excel in the upcoming school year. So we would love to have you join us in that. Also, just beyond what I've shared with you, we do have constant communication with all of our collaboration partners. We talk often about our shared goals and activities, and we have 4 specific shared spaces where we come together strategically with various groups across the collaboration. So what's the most exciting about these meetings is that there's so much enthusiasm, there's consistent participation, and we've seen attendance continue to grow. New this year, you can see by the little starred activities are our CEO cohort. They meet monthly and are bi-monthly lunch and learns, where we bring frontline staff together to get an opportunity to learn from one another, see one another's spaces. Those lunch and learns, we travel around, we go from agency to agency. So frontline staff get a chance to see the spaces where clients are served. They get a chance to meet their colleagues from other organizations and build those trusted relationships, because we believe that change happens at the speed of trust and relationships. And so we work really closely across the entire organization to build those relationships and make sure that there's full agency integration in our plans as we seek to build our 2Gen collaboration and continue to move forward. We've heard phenomenal feedback from our CEOs. Sierra leads our CEO cohort that meets bi-monthly. They are thrilled to have this sacred shared space together where they can problem solve and support one another with their various just different needs and things that come up in those CEO spaces. So we're helping to just break down those silos and just that loneliness that you can feel when you're at the top, and really create a beautiful space to build trust, build those relationships. So I mentioned a number of different engagement opportunities within our 2Gen collaboration. We have a fun little Zoom poll for you to engage in and to really think about, where are the areas, what excites me, what are the things that I would love to participate in regards to the work that's happening with our 2Gen collaboration. And I may have missed some questions in here, so I am more than happy to answer any questions. I'll ask my team to help facilitate those. And I believe, Elisa, were you able to pop the poll into the chat for everyone?
Yes, everyone can see the poll.
Okay, perfect. Do we have any questions at all now, or shall we move on?
Jenny, we had a question come up in the chat from Beth.
Yeah.
Which is, will all SVP organizations, both past and present, have the opportunity to be a part of the Unite Us referral system?
Beth, that is such a great question. The answer is absolutely yes. So the Unite Us Community Cares platform, they are looking to recruit and NGOs, I'm forgetting what they refer to them as, CBOs, community-based organizations right now. The platform itself is really looking for community uptake, right? It's only as successful as a referral network as many resources have adopted and are using the platform. We truly are in Southern Arizona. Our collaboration of 8, we're the pioneers of engaging in and jumping onto the platform, but we hope that we'll begin to encourage and invite other collaborative partners. So our agencies will see the value of the platform and invite the organizations that they collaborate with onto the platform as well. So we hope, again, that we'll become sort of community cares influencers per se, and have other nonprofit organizations join the platform. And what's beautiful about this Unite Us, this community cares platform, is that this will not only allow our collaboration partners to make referrals within our collaborative network, but it'll give them an opportunity to connect their clients with the other resources that might not be within our network. So we often hear about housing, we often hear about medical care. This platform is designed to help individuals and families access all the resources that they might need to benefit them. So we're really, really excited about the migration to the new platform and hope to, again, influence other agencies to do the same.
And we saw in the chat that Tucson Jewish Free Loan, one of our partner organizations, went live on the platform, I think yesterday.
Thank you, Allison.
Us to follow up, I think via Beth, about how we get organizations such as SAFE on the platform. So we will make sure to do that.
Absolutely, Beth. I'd be more than happy to talk to anyone at SAFE about the value that we see, about what our experience has been. They've been incredible partners with the onboarding process. So it's been a really great transition. And again, we're looking forward to when we start really working in the platform and learning about all the different dynamic aspects that we can benefit. So, okay, I think we're now ready to transition over. I'm going to hand the mic and the screen over to Brooke Gillum, who is our 2Gen lead partner and just an incredible thought leader and an incredible doer in the work that we've been doing around 2Gen. She's going to share some information with you all about the policy work that we've been doing.
Brooke. Thank you, Jenny. So good morning, everyone. For those of you whom I haven't met, I am the lead partner for the 2Gen collaboration. I have been a part of that effort since it launched in 2020 and have just loved being part of it. And just it's the opportunity as partners we get to really get engaged in the work with the organizations is why I continue to be a partner. And I really encourage and invite any and all of you to find that spot where you really feel passionate about jumping in. So what I want to share is about our policy work. And so the Pima County Prosperity Initiative is an effort to get a group of policies designed to build prosperity for families adopted by county officials. So the leader of the initiative, Bonnie Bezada, invited SVP to develop a 2Gen policy to be included in that group of policies. After reading through a plethora of research around all the ways 2Gen is being implemented in other communities and counties, we decided to propose a new idea that the whole prosperity initiative be aligned under the 2Gen framework. So thinking about from the selection of the policies to how the policies are then implemented and then evaluated, we wanted that to be considered from a 2Gen paradigm rather than just a 2Gen policy be kind of one aspect of the policy initiative or the prosperity initiative. So we traveled a sort of winding road around how the 2Gen framework intersects best with the work and the abilities that the county has. And what we've decided is that now this alignment is really what makes the most sense. So SVP is facilitating conversations between representatives of Pima County and Ascend at the Aspen Institute to begin this alignment in going forward. So as you can see here, really the ultimate goal of SVP's role with the county is systems change. Moving families out of poverty into stability will only happen if we have effective policies that are implemented well and then evaluated with an eye toward continuous improvement. And we need to couple those policies with a commitment of leadership of all the community stakeholders that are involved. The great thing about SVP is that it's uniquely positioned to align all of these components and be able to affect real change for families in Pima County. So we're very excited that we get to sit kind of in this seat, in this role now, and bring the 2Gen philosophy, the 2Gen paradigm, and the thought leaders at the Aspen Institute around that together with the leadership in Pima County. So this diagram illustrates how potential policies, again, the policy selection process is happening right now. And what we have suggested, what we have proposed, and what they are very inclined to adopt is this idea that let's select which policies get packaged together and then put forth to county leadership that would then approve them and adopt them, be things that are oriented with the 2Gen components. And also that those policies then be centered under those guiding principles that Sierra talked about that are so important to ensuring that the outcomes of the 2Gen policies actually have the impact that we want to see. And then we evaluate not just the policies themselves and the subsequent implementation of them, but also what happened when we did this holistic approach where we integrated the 2Gen components into the policy proposal. What happened after that? So this is in a snapshot what we have proposed to the county, what they are very interested in seeing happen, and what we are moving forward in conversation around with them together with Aspen, with the Ascend at the Aspen Institute.
Thank you so much, Brooke, for providing that context and that update. I will share one additional piece is that this group of policies will be put before not only Pima County, but there's also interest from the city of Tucson and South Tucson, Pasquayaqui tribe, the Tohono O'odham Reservation, the town of Oro Valley. So there is potential for just exponential impact in our region as the Prosperity Initiative moves forward and as these policies are bundled and passed. So a big thank you to Brooke. She's done tons of work, tons of research, really looking at how do we push this forward for our community and for our families, because we see it as just an incredible opportunity. So we wanted to just open it up now to general questions that you might have specifically about the policy work to begin, if you want to have any other questions or wanted to ask for any clarity.
Beth had a question in the chat. Do you want to ask it, Beth?
I'm sorry, I'm talking too much there. I don't know, I can't remember which question it was, but it was probably around the last piece with policy. By the way, Brooke, I love this. I love the whole praxis and the continued cycle of evaluation and engagement. It's just so good. The question was really, wouldn't eviction protection really be part of housing stability? And the reason I suggest that is not because I don't care about eviction protection, because Lordy, we need it so bad. But also it allows another space for what I think is missing, and that is food sustainability and water. And especially as you mentioned, Donna Autumn, because one of my colleagues was really dealing with the collapse of their food system during COVID. But we also know with Navajo colleagues, water is a huge issue. And I know we've talked about that in a long time, but that doesn't mean you need to put it on the list. I was just thinking, I'm sure you're probably going to hear about that, especially when we talk about educational outcomes and, family stability and the cost of food and stuff like that. But again, I apologize ahead of time. I'm new still, so maybe I should just sit on my hands.
Well, and what I would say is I'm happy to have a one-on-one conversation, partner to partner with anyone who would be interested in discussing more about this. And you'll see housing it really fits under economic assets in the 2Gen components. That's where it fits. That's where food fits. That's where kind of like water access would fit. And also to remember that the 2Gen components came out of the think tank thought, the thought leadership at a set of the Aspen Institute as sort of the general 2Gen things. Now the policies in Pima County will not be absolutely mirrored. There are going to be policies that sort of align in this cog and also in this cog, but we wanted to bring the whole framework, the whole paradigm to bear on this idea of the prosperity initiative and building prosperity for families as a strategic framework. And so how it looks in Pima County will flex and the Tohono O'odham Nation and all of the jurisdictions that are be part of the prosperity initiative. So it's going to be nuanced is what I'm trying to say. So that the 2Gen framework serves as a strategic framework that then nuance what is really the needs of the community around it.
Any other questions around policy piece? Yeah, Jim. Oh, we need you to unmute, friend.
I was going to ask about the regional nature, and you touched on that in talking about Oro Valley and Marana and Sahuarita, South Tucson, and so forth. And if not directly involved, certainly we should be keeping them informed all the way and seeking their participation, so that it is a opportunity on a regional basis for jurisdictions to pick up on the major policies that are being developed.
Jim, I'm going to share in the chat the website that outlines the entire prosperity initiative that will give you a better gauge of sort of the communities that are involved, and just talk a little bit more about the initiative itself so that you can see just the broader scope.
Sure. Okay, thanks.
Of course, thank you. Peggy, I see you're unmuted.
No, I was just reading in the chat.
Oh, okay, great. Any other questions? Wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and screen share one last slide, and then we will just open up. I just muted myself in the middle of talking. I'm going to share one last slide because we have some really exciting partner education and events that are coming up in the fall that we want to make sure that you have in your ether, that you have on your calendar. We'll be following up next week with an e-blast that will share all of this out, as well as the recorded our recorded presentation. But we are so enthusiastic about all that we have happening in the fall. We have Ascend leadership coming to Tucson. We just confirmed this morning, and both Sierra and I were sort of jumping for joy. Marjorie Sims, who is the managing director of Ascend at the Aspen Institute and really is engaged in deep implementation strategies across the network, is going to join us in Tucson on November 2nd and November 3rd. We will hold our 2Gen collaboration retreat for our nonprofit agencies. So any of our agency staff that are on this call, I know this is the first that you're hearing of this date, but we'll follow up with all of this information for all of you directly. But also for our partners, we're going to plan a fantastic partner engagement session with Marjorie to really help just our awareness of the national movement that not only are we a part of, but we're a really innovative and exciting piece of. In line with the work that we're doing around transitioning families, out of poverty comes some real deep education that we as an organization and individuals working within SVP need to do. I know personally, I have so much work to do around really understanding the lived experience of those living in poverty and how we approach and work within these individuals' lives and families' lives to really help create opportunity. So some of you may have attended Bonnie Bazada, who Brooke mentioned as a part of the Prosperity Initiative, leading our Prosperity Initiative. She facilitates these wonderful understanding poverty workshops. We held one in May. Some of our partners attended. And I would open up, when we open up to questions, I would love to hear some feedback about that original session. We're holding another of those sessions. It's happening here on the Community Foundation campus on Wednesday, October 25th from 9 to noon. This is an opportunity to learn more about just the realities of living in poverty versus sort of our realities living in the middle or upper class in America. In addition, one of the resources that Bonnie highlights in her Understanding Poverty workshop is the work of Matthew Desmond. You may recognize his name from the book Evicted. He wrote the Pulitzer Prize winning book Evicted, and he has a second book out now called Poverty by America. I've started reading it. I'm about 5 chapters in. It is really a really important read for those of us wanting to create change in this space. And we're going to hold a book club around that book in partnership with the McClelland Institute at the University of Arizona, the Community Foundation for Southern Arizona, and the Primavera Foundation. We're hosting a book club where we'll talk about what we learned in this book. We're going to have McClelland bring in some local data and information around what's happening in our community in relation to what Matthew Desmond shares in the book. So that's happening on November 30th. And the lead up for our book club is because Matthew Desmond will be in Tucson for a ticketed event at the Fox Theater on Tuesday, December 12th. It's a Primavera Foundation fundraiser. He's coming in for their 40th anniversary, and we have reached out to them and asked how we can support that event and also connect with Matthew Desmond. We have been able to sponsor a roundtable that will happen the morning after Desmond has his event at the Fox Theater. Desmond will be here. This will be a very limited space event, but we're going to be talking about big community change and what can we learn from Desmond and what can we bring back into our community, and how do we create the social change that we're all looking for. Also really excited to let you all know that in early 2024, we are going to do a 2Gen collaboration bus tour where we get an opportunity to see our investees in action. So this will be a partner engagement event where we'll hop on a bus and we'll jump around to the 8 different agencies and get an opportunity to see the work that they're doing, and just learn more about the incredible impact that they're having on the families that we're all working to serve. So sharing out all these education and event opportunities. Our comms team is going to have an e-blast going out to you. So you'll have all these resources in your inbox, but just wanted to give you a highlight of what our exciting and education-filled fall will look like in the work that we're doing within our 2Gen collaboration. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen share and open it up to any sort of big, broad questions that anyone might have about anything that you've heard, anything that's been on your mind. I see Sierra, you just came off mute, so perhaps there's something you'd like to also share.
Just after we wrap up questions, Jenny, Elisa has the Zoom poll results ready. If we want to share,
great.
We can see live where everyone's interest is. I haven't seen it yet. So whenever you tell her you're ready, she'll share that.
Do we have any general, well, why don't you go ahead and share that, and then y'all can think about any questions that you have and we can jump back into questions. So Elisa, go ahead and share the results from our Zoom poll.
Can everyone see it? Is it up? Okay. Fabulous. Well, it looks like we have interest in a lot of different areas. So this is really exciting. We will follow up with you based on your interest. So, and if you have like other things you want to hear about or connect with us on, certainly let us know.
Any other questions from anyone just about anything in general or the work that we're all doing? I love that heart kitty cat. I'm guessing that came from Sandra. Oh, yes, it did, of course. Yay.
There is a question in the chat from Frank around Ascend leadership. Sarah, perhaps you would speak to that.
So Ascend is the largest program at the Aspen Institute, and we'll go ahead and put a link to Ascend at the Aspen Institute in the chat bar so you can read about them. But they're really looking at how do we change systems and break down systems that aren't working. They've been around since after World War II. Very large group making a lot of change by investing in systems change and leaders. Thank you, Elisa, for getting that link up there. SVP Tucson and all of our 8 nonprofit partners are members of the Ascend Network. So we've been applied for and received acknowledgement from them, that we're doing 2Gen programming. And I have the wonderful opportunity to be an Ascend Fellow for 2023. And so I'm working with 22 leaders across the US who are working on deep systems change pieces through 2Gen approaches. And I will say that when you get a chance to spend time with Ascend, you want to be there. Like every experience that and now we've had Jenny and Bree spend some time with Ascend team in DC, it is worth it. They are a wealth of information and inspiration, and I'm really excited that they're taking their time to come spend it with us in Tucson.
Okay, my friends, if we don't have any other direct questions around the presentation or anything that you've heard today, we as SVP staff, and Brooke has also welcomed any sort of connection around what she's shared and the work that we're doing in 2Gen. So we always welcome individual emails or phone calls. Reach out to us if you have questions about anything specific. It's been a pleasure to spend time with you this morning. We have recorded this, so if you have a partner that would love to hear about it, or maybe your spouse or your partner, your life partner was unable to attend and they'd be interested in learning, we will send out the video and all the different components of this presentation out to the entire network of our partners. Jim, I see you're off mute. Did you want to share anything else, or are you just getting ready to jump? Okay,
no.
Great. Okay, awesome. Well, it's been a treat to see you all and have you all together in this space today. Thank you so much. Again, don't hesitate to reach out on anything at all. Liz, thank you for that. It really is a treat. We will make sure that we do include the PowerPoint deck. Thank you for that mention, Sandra. We'll make sure that we also include that when we send out our resources to the full partnership. So wishing everybody an absolutely wonderful Thursday. Most of us are here in Tucson, so everybody stay nice and cool and hydrated and take good care of yourself and have a really wonderful 4th of July weekend. And thank you all for your participation and for joining us this morning. It's been a treat to spend time with you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.